Yeah, yeah. Yep. All right. It is perfect off rip. All right, Happy.
Hmm.
You've been involved in quite a bit of drama recently. I'm sure that if you've heard of me, you've heard that I am not liked in the debating community. I'm not the best debater. I don't consider myself a debater at all. But I
Hmm.
do enjoy the debating community and their takes. And
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm not biased towards your argument, but I do
Hmm.
like the idea of I want to see total destruction before they gain that feat of being able to destroy something or have the AP for it. We don't know how
Hmm.
big. Well, the argument. This is what got me interested in you, right? The
Hmm.
argument that you said of Momoshiki, we don't know how large his universe is. Therefore,
Hmm.
therefore, you have to use his best feat in order to quantify how strong
Yeah.
he is. I really enjoy that. So,
Yes.
say a little bit about yourself. Let me know what's
Okay.
going on with you and how long you've been debating stuff like that, and then we will get into the sauce.
Okay. Sounds good. So I'm Happy117 on TikTok. I've been debating for maybe only like a month or two now.
Okay.
It all started where I started translating some scans from Japanese into English, and I started getting a lot of hate for doing that because there was a lot of um, scaling that was being debunked without trying to by
Mhm.
just translating from the natural language. So uh, it got a lot of, I guess, traction within the Naruto fandom, particularly, in that a lot of people were commenting and weren't really agreeing with some of the things that I was saying. So it turned into debating, which eventually became like a bigger thing. So um, and like Sate, um, King Bullet, who else? Lots of people really,
A lot of
but
them came at me too.
yeah, I don't really remember everyone to be honest, but there was quite a lot of people, and it became really fun. But then the more I debated, the more people wanted to debate in a more aggressive manner,
Yeah,
and it kind of just got way out of control. And then I was like, yeah, I don't think it's worth the time to debate. I think I might stop debating, because the doesn't matter, like, kind of like, what do you call it? Like, if even if I were to win a debate and prove a point, people would still hate me, and then if I was to lose the debate, then people would hate me more. So it
it
was
is.
like a lose lose for me, and that's why I was like, yeah, I'm not really interested in the debate community. I think it was it was more fun just making content.
For
So,
sure.
but anyways, yeah, that was sort of my story up until now, I guess. But yeah, and then so yeah, there's been a lot of back and forth. I think almost every Naruto scaler or anime content creator had some sort of counter debunk to a video that I've made. I think Daniel's Funeral made some, Anbu, Oof, like there's lots of different people
Yeah, for
were
sure.
trying to debunk it. And so that's probably the latest things. Specifically, they were talking about uh, what was the attack potency of Naruto characters.
Mm.
And so basically made a blanket statement that they're all there's no one higher than Moon Plus in Naruto characters. And yeah, I think that's pretty much a summary of everything.
Okay. So before we get into the actual like meat and potatoes of your entire point, how so like
Hmm.
for me, when I started TikTok like 3 months ago, it was more of just like people would ask me a question, I'd be like, I think this person wins. You know what I mean? Even 3 months ago,
Mm,
if you were to dare say that, like, because even I didn't know that Naruto is universal back then, because nobody that just watches Naruto is going to assume that he is universal. You know what I mean?
yes,
So
for
like
sure.
I didn't think of it that way at all. So somebody was like Frieza versus Naruto when I was like way beginning. And I was like, of course
Yeah,
Naruto's gonna absolutely get obliterated by Frieza. Why would you even put those two
pretty much.
together? And then I got
Yep.
so much hate stuff for it. And that's when I was first
Yes.
introduced to the power scaling community. When did you
Mm.
when did you know what power scaling was? 'Cause I had no idea before that. I had just watched anime.
So, like you, I had just watched anime, and then I saw power scaling, but then I noticed that in TikTok, mainly TikTok, a lot of people didn't follow all the rules of power scaling, and as a result, so when you scale, it's not just as simple as like you fight this character and you become relative to them in attack potency, and destroying things will make you as strong as whatever you destroy. There's actually exceptions to that. So like if you destroy, like if you split a moon, that doesn't count as destroying a moon, so you don't tier in that
Which
level.
I agree with so much.
And there's a lot of exceptions, but people, they call it like, it's kind of a bad word, I guess, but wank scaling, like when you take something as high as you can.
Yeah,
Like
which is
highball
so
scaling.
annoying.
And I think you might have mentioned this, I don't remember, but I started hearing Sakura has universal AP and is massively faster than light, and that's when I knew something was wrong. And if you go on the YouTube, if you go onto like Twitter, like all the biggest you could say anime content creators on other platforms, they're not saying that. Seth the programmer only thinks Naruto characters are planetary.
For sure.
And then some of the best debaters I've heard, they think max solar system. So people saying claims like universal are people that aren't debaters, or people that are like big power scalers. Even the people that created the tiering system hold them at moon level.
And
like
we're talking,
and
we're only talking AP, correct? Or you mean moon level for DC? Okay, yeah.
This is for AP actually.
Because I don't even think that Naruto should have Moon DC, because like you said, it was split in half, and this should be utter destruction, like Frieza with one finger pointing at the planet gone. So
and he low difficulty, one finger destroyed the planet. But Tonetti, like trying his best, cut the planet, but did not not the planet, the moon, and didn't destroy it. So, but you could argue that after repetitive use of that ability, he could eventually destroy the moon, but it's not like a one attack total destruction like Frieza.
Yeah, he would just
it would still scale him lower if anything. And
for sure,
there's even arguments that it's not the same as our moon, because another thing in scaling is you have to prove that they're equivalent to our Earth or our moon or whatever you're trying to scale the size of it, because if it's proven to be a smaller moon, then it's not a moon level feat. So there's like lots of exceptions that people purposely ignore or pretend don't exist in scaling to allow their character to get as strong as they want.
One thing that I do not like about the power scaling community is the power by association thing, like you were just talking about with Sakura. I don't like the fact that because she was involved in the Kaguya fight and landed one punch that did damage Kaguya, I hate that somehow brings. At first, it was Solar System AP. I don't know if you know this, but at first Kaguya was Solar System AP, and that's how Naruto and Sasuke became Solar System. Then Momoshiki was one of the Universal, but then people wanked Kaguya to Universal, which is just so annoying. Same with Massively Faster Than Light, stuff like that. I just don't enjoy that power by association. I like it when power scaling is conservative. So what you were saying about Frieza one-shotting a planet, we can say that Frieza one-shot a planet just from that's planetary. Even if they did it low difficulty, it's planetary for me personally, because like that's just what we saw them do 100%. Same thing with Naruto, is like we know that Tonri couldn't absolutely destroy the moon, but just simply because it wasn't shown to happen. Therefore, I feel like they're not like. Does that make sense? Like the DC's moon level. Yeah,
for sure. And that was the big problem that I saw. Actually, I think it kind of inspired me to try create the debunk in the first place. Well, because it wasn't really a debunk. They never got stronger than that level in the first place. But people had, as you said, changed Kaguya from being what they thought she was, and then became something else, and then Momoshiki, and it just, basically people trying to take characters and highball them as much as they can, so they can actually. Most people that I've seen in the debate community have been trying to put Naruto up against Goku, but people that have not seen scaling before or power scaling before, I would argue most people would agree that Goku would automatically beat Naruto.
100%.
Like that's just common sense, but using scaling, it can make you seem like Naruto has a chance.
It's cheese. It's cheese.
But there's so many like vague statements, and they really blow it out of proportion. And I don't know if we're going to talk about that later, but there's like lots of them. Like Itachi is universal.
Yeah, that's...
Databook statements.
Oh man,
Temari is universal.
Yep.
But I think Temari is more crazy than Itachi being universal. But then there's like you can go through all the data books, some of the manga statements. Orochimaru has a universe inside of him, and you can take them literally if you want, but that it doesn't fit with the story, the plot, neither the context. And again, in power scaling, you're not supposed to consider outliers, whereas people try to argue their way into saying these aren't outliers, these are canon.
No,
and,
a contradiction should make something completely irrelevant.
Yes. And they pretend that there is no contradictions in order to enable or convince people
Trev,
that
thank you for the 500 biddies, my man.
Correct. So, yeah, that's why you find these like multiversal scalings or infinite Hagoromo or like just crazy scaling.
For sure. And I at this point, I don't even know if it's favoritism or what you want to categorize it as, but also what you were saying about interpretation. The whole Kurama is planetary because in the data books, he can turn the world to ash. For me, I never interpreted that as complete destruction in any way, shape, or form. I thought that of like the dismantling of civilization, period. Because Kurama was destroying the Leaf Village. I doubt he's taking out any oceans. I doubt he's destroying anything past the crust of the earth. That's the way I interpreted it. But since they could turn the planet to ash, debaters that, of course, maybe like Naruto, like I said, I don't know if it's favoritism. Maybe this is just the way they interpret it without it. It's just as simple as like, it seems like that should be another one of those conservative moments where it's like, hey, it did not say he can destroy a planet. We've seen Kurama, while insane, attacking the Leaf Village, did not blow it to pieces. It's like, What are your thoughts on that? Like the whole just...
I agree. I think that it's more... So with world, at least in that statement, it's talking about the living world. So it's more in context talking about where people live in the world and it can just turn it to ash. It's not talking about like the planet itself necessarily. They literally use the phrase the living world, but in the translation they just switch it to world, and the reason for that is databooks 1, 2, and 4 were never officially translated. So you have fan translations, and I can pull out like thousands of examples where they completely mistranslated them. In the first data book, maybe half of the attacks are stating to be lightning speed, but they are just... In the Japanese, the word is swift, but they translated that to mean lightning. So in power scaling, that's a big difference, because if you state something to be lightning speed, then it's got a quantified speed, and you can scale from that and make things like really fast and powerful based on that statement. But if it's just swift, it just means it's like a fast attack, so there's no quantifiable speed. So yeah, it wouldn't seem as strong. But again, going back to the Kurama can turn the world to ash statement, are you able to show things if I sent it to you in Discord or no?
I could. It might be a little scuffed, but I should be able to, yeah.
Oh, okay, because otherwise then people could see this. But I don't know if you can see that title, but it says sealed inside Naruto is a powerful force that could easily turn the world to ash.
I do have it pulled up right now, yeah.
Yep, cool. And then, like, I'll give you another example of, like, 2 more. The Tamari is universal one, has a similar, like, the title. Says the fierce tornado that blows the entire universe away. But you can see this pattern of, in the titles only, they have these, like, crazy exaggerated statements. There's also... what's another example? I don't have this one translated.
Wait, is this translation? Is this a random person that made this translation right here where it says translation emotional rockfish?
Yeah. So that's a fan translation.
That is crazy. Okay. I feel like that should never be used in a debate.
But what I'm saying is unless if you speak Japanese, you...
Speaking which, do you? when you did the whole Kakashi video where you're talking about coming back, you seemed like you were able to. I don't know if your accent's just spot on or what, but are you able to speak Japanese fluently?
I can speak relatively fluently, but in terms of reading, probably like at year 8, year 9 level reading. I'm
Okay.
not the greatest at reading, but I can read kanji. But
Okay.
but what's it called? So these big black titles, you could say. So that's the Japanese version of the Itachi thing. But if I was to write it out, it says this. The ones reflected in these eyes turn to ash, a black world destroying conflagration that scorches all on heaven and earth. So heaven and earth being like interpreted as, you could interpret that as universal. So like all these statements are heavily exaggerated, but it's only within the titles of those databook statements.
Yeah.
And people do use these in debates, and they claim that Kurama is planetary when we've only seen him do like country level feats when he's like trying to blow up Konoha and stuff.
Mhm.
And then Tamari, we have not seen her blow away the entire universe.
For sure. For
So,
sure.
like, yeah, so these statements, people do actually try to use them, and they say things like, statements without contradiction are fact. That's something that they'll pull out in debates all the time.
One hundred
But I
percent.
often use this to prove that it's a nominal fallacy because you're using titles with no evidence supporting those titles within the anime, because then you can pull out examples of Kurama only being country level, for example.
Exactly, because it's
And
like
and then they can't disprove that because there's nothing that's shown for him to either, like Kurama himself, to fight someone who has like planetary AP,
yeah.
nor fight or nor actually destroy a planet. You've never seen him do that. So that would scale him back to whatever you establish, which would be like country level, for example. But yeah, just from these statements alone, you can see how there's a lot of confusion
For
with
sure.
scaling, and it's because of these data books, as well as the mistranslations, as well as the lack of translations, because they never officially translated them. You can really twist the words to basically make Naruto characters as strong as you want. Simply put as that.
Because it's not a 1-to-1 translation. That's just not how Japanese into English works. So like you can
No
it's
way.
yeah, it's just so it could be either so favoritism based or just so biased to the point to where you can completely warp the entire definition of the show. That's why I
You can
think
make it whatever you want. Yep, pretty much.
I understand the argument of wanting canon only, but the moment where you can use something non-canon, like a non what would be a good word for the translation, a non peer-to-peer translation, I guess, where it's from creator saying this is
Yep.
what it means in English. Like the moment that shouldn't be considered canon if somebody did a fan-made translation. 100%, I don't think that should be allowed. So it's like there's no set rule for debating, which is so annoying because we have the default APDC system, but those gray areas where all of the huge exploits begin, there is no rules regarding them, and nobody knows to think about those rules. And I guarantee you there are a lot of the good debaters, I'm not saying these debaters are bad when I use quotation marks, but there are a lot of these good debaters that I think use those exploits even unknowingly.
Yes, they do, actually. A lot of them. And so that's why a lot of people in debates have had a hard time with me, because they bring up these fan translations and then I show them the actual kanji that they use, and it's completely contradicts what is been translated. Because the thing with fan translations, the only people that would want to translate the data books are fans, so they're obviously going to have a little bit of a bias towards the anime.
For sure.
And the other reason you would want to translate a data book is because data books give power levels and statistics on how strong characters are. So the only people that would have interest in translating those are people that want to know how powerful certain characters are to compare to other verses and so forth. So those people are obviously out there to try and make Naruto characters super strong.
For
So
sure.
you can see this a lot. Like there's fake translations stating that the Raikage is light speed, but in the official viz, when they finally did translate him, they switched him back to lightning. So there's lots of past fan translations or bad translations that people still use now. and people now are not aware that those exist.
I've seen a lot of like that. Like I like what you said there about the Raikage with lightning speed, because I got into a debate once where somebody was arguing that he was faster than instant teleportation because of a data book translation with the Minato fight, where he said, quote unquote, that he was confident he could reach Minato's dagger before Minato actually teleports there. Which that really aggravated me, because I was like, this fight happened in the anime. Even if he's confident, I don't think that proves that he's faster than teleportation. I think it proves Minato's teleportation is not as fast as the teleportation we're thinking. Because there's no way the Raikage is that fast.
I'm thinking, have you seen this panel? This is from the manga. And it's, I don't know if you can see this, but I'll read it out. Nothing can match the Raikage's teleportation speed. So, with some of these statements that come from the different characters, sometimes characters chuck out statements like that don't make sense, because in their mind, it looks like the Raikage is moving so fast that he's teleporting.
Yeah.
But people will take this into a debate and say Raikage can teleport. He's as fast as light.
But it's just it's almost instantly contradicted.
Yes, and you can like give examples where he's never actually teleported. And a great example of this is if he could have teleported, to kick Madara when they used the Mabui light transfer technique. So one of the other ninjas teleported him and Tsunade over to Madara, like on like extreme distance using a heavenly light transfer technique. So if he was light speed, he wouldn't have needed to have used that technique. He could have just done it himself.
Just went there.
So there's lots of contradictions, but this is the kind of statements that people pull out in a debate. This panel exactly, and say things like, "Yeah, Raikage can teleport. He's light speed. So if he's light speed and Naruto blitzed him, then that means Naruto is massively faster than light, right? And then he can fight with Goku." And that's the kind of scaling you see. And to me, that sounds crazy, but like to them, they believe it.
So I like what you're talking about, this massively faster than light here. How fast do you think that Naruto is?
Faster than light and possibly getting slower.
Possibly getting slower. I actually respect that. I genuinely think I've gotten a lot of hate for this. I think that right now Sasuke with the Mastered Rinnegan is stronger than Naruto is.
Yeah, that's fair. Because the thing is with Naruto in the Retsuden novels, he has chakra illness, and he's actually
he has the same
sick.
thing Itachi had.
Yes, and I don't know if it's the exact same.
Well,
disease.
it's Jinchuriki. I think it's attacking his Jinchuriki chakra, which is inhibiting his chakra also.
Yes,
yeah.
But like it's got the same concept. I mean, like
for sure.
But the thing is that in the Retsuden novels, he's like crippled. Yeah. At this point, and then in Sasuke Retsuden, they try to find a cure. And then Sakura gets star particles, and this is where the massively faster than light Sakura cheat scale, you could call it, I guess, comes from. Is people stated in the calc that they were intercepting star particles, but and in order to get this star particle, she had to dodge light. But in the article or the book, it states that the light's coming from underneath. And light doesn't do that. Neither was it stated to be an attack. So she didn't necessarily have to dodge it. She just had to like grab the particle.
Yeah.
So people calculated her in order to grab a star particle and dodge light. That would make her massively faster than light. So that's the kind of scaling people use in debates. And that's where you hear those statements that Sakura is massively faster than light, Sasuke is faster than light, massively faster than light, all this kind of stuff. But yeah, but in my opinion, we've seen Naruto actually underperform. He got absolutely smashed and sealed away.
Yep.
These are some spoilers. I don't
know if spoiler for Boruto right now.
But yeah, he's not doing well at all, and
especially right now, he's.
Yeah,
we're wondering
so
if
he's underperforming a lot lower than what if you're scaling, technically they should be training, getting stronger, faster, whatever. Like kind of like Goku, he just seems to keep getting stronger. Naruto isn't like that at this stage.
He's a human. He's getting older.
Yeah, he's getting older, and we've actually seen, and it's sort of canon.
Trev with 1,000 bits. Thank you, my man. Thank you. Much love to you, buddy.
Jiraiya was killed off, even though he was supposed to be like the strongest dude at that time, or one of them.
Yeah.
And you know, people get older, people die, and then the new gen took over. And so this is sort of what's happening, what appears to be happening in Boruto as well. The show's called Boruto, so there's kind of like a big hint there, but yeah.
Yeah, there needs to be a changing of
power
guard.
Scalers will also use the argument that Naruto is getting stronger, and so therefore, if he's this fast then he'll be much faster later.
No, you can't use that.
But they do. They do, unless if you can prove otherwise. So, yeah, that's why you will hear that Naruto has infinite speed.
Oh, dude, I hate that one so much.
Just stuff like that, yeah. Yep, and that's annoying to debunk, but yeah.
So let's get to like the initial debunk. Like, tell me like what the setup was. What were some like actual debunks that people tried to throw at you? How did you counter them? Stuff like that. Because actually, before that, can we explain the debate bias judge situation that you went through? That was very aggravating for you.
Okay, so with okay, so I think about at 12 in the morning. We decided that we're going to debate Anbu and Oof, and the only partner I could get at the time I think was Zero Clouds, and then the times kept changing, and as a result, we originally agreed to getting Dead Boy to be a judge. He's a really good debater in the anime community, and relatively speaking, people think he's like a really non-biased judge. And then basically he wasn't able to make it because we changed the time from 4 in the morning to 6 in the morning to 4 in the morning. Well, this is for my time, so I'm not sure what it was for them, but yeah, then eventually he couldn't make it. Okay. And so the debate started because it was a bit, because there's no judge, like it was a bit strange as to the way it was going. So we ended up having 2 other judges, Alien X and Jutsu, that were like last minute chucked in, as well as Daniel's funeral. Okay. Now, we didn't agree to Daniel being the judge, and what we said at the start of the debate was to get the recording to Dead Boy. Unfortunately, they lost the recording because the Craigbot didn't work properly in the Discord and didn't record the debate, so we only had to go off Alien X and Jutsu's judgments, and as well as Daniel's new, like him being added to it. And so initially they stated that even though we had more points, we're going to give it to Anbu and Oof, which was a bit confusing. And then the judges changed their mind, the Alien X and Jutsu, and it was going a lot of back and forth, because there was some things like the general scans. Also, the majority of the community were there to support the Naruto characters, I guess. Yeah. And so they were sending scans to Anbu and Oof. Yeah. And to help them, because they got stumped when I asked the question, can you prove Earth is equal to the ninja world? And if so, can you prove that it's not just the name of Earth, that it's the size of Earth? Because that matters. Like if you can't destroy our Earth equivalent in size Earth, then it doesn't equal a planetary feat. For sure.
Same thing with like light speed. If you can, normally we just accept light as light, but like, yeah, I know what you're saying there. Like you have to draw the connection between them.
Well, because in fiction, Earth doesn't necessarily mean Earth. Like it could be a different variation of Earth, and a good like some evidence that would support that the ninja world isn't our Earth is the fact that we don't have a ninja world in our Earth. You know, like, so that the world itself could be a different size, it could have different functionality, and these are all factors that would matter in scaling AP. But cut a long story short, I said that, like, because we established a 3-minute burden of proof timer, so they had to prove it with scans in 3 minutes. They never would have been able to prove that point in the 3-minute timer because they had 2 minutes of just being blank quiet. If it wasn't for the scans that they took from general, and we've got some of the followers that were watching the debate, they screenshotted the people saying, "Hey, Ambu, I've got like a scan that will help you," and then them using it straight after. So, yeah, for that reason they were disqualified, and in the end, they ended up giving us the win. And then they had some conversations later. They tried to reappeal that decision. And because other people, Water D official, he got together some people and appealed for me because originally we lost, and then he appealed, and then it said we won. But then Amber and Oof reappealed again, and said, and then the judges were kind of being swayed all over the place. So they concluded that basically we need to have a rematch, which is fair, I think.
So let me get this right first. You lost, appealed, won, they appealed, you lost again, then Ambu got disqualified.
No, he was disqualified after the first time, and I didn't appeal technically. Some of the followers, like Water D official, and other people, got in a VC together with the judges and appealed, but I wasn't there. I wasn't aware of what was going on at that particular time.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
sorry, that's crazy to me. I feel like we need a more concrete system if 4 appeals can go through.
Well, that's not normal.
Yeah.
That doesn't normally happen. It also doesn't happen that you have people that have a history with you become judge last minute, because
for sure
instant
bias. For sure biased.
So,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so usually we get other judges that, like, basically are neutral, completely neutral. But it was because it was rushed, and we actually did state, like, before going into that debate, we should probably wait till tomorrow so Dead Boy could judge, or certain people could make it, so it would be, like, totally fair, no problems.
Okay.
But it just got out of control because of that, really. And like the switching of times, and yeah, it could have gone a lot smoother. But next time when we do debate, though, we're gonna get different judges. Probably so there's different tiers in the debating community of debaters. But we're going to pick some of the higher tier judges.
So you are open to redebating at least, though. Is there any way?
Yeah, I was always open to redebating. I just wasn't open to, like, if they go, like, just some of the bias.
Yeah,
that was
for sure
happening. If that's gonna happen again, like, there's no point. Like, it's kind of like fighting a battle uphill. Like, if you're gonna have, like, the whole chat helping them, and then a judge switch in last minute, switching times so that I had to wake up at 4 a.m. and whatever. Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. I was like, that's just toxic.
So what you said just not that long ago with the whole people were sending them scans to try to disprove what you said. I have 2 questions about that. The first one was, did these scans disprove them? And the second one is, do you think that's okay? Me personally, I do, because if it debunks it, it debunks it. But also, I feel like the other opposition should be prepared enough to where they have those scans, or they can at least explain the debunk more. If they get stumped, I feel like they're stumped. What do you think about those 2 questions?
Well, it depends, right? So even though they had the scans, it still didn't necessarily prove the point of size.
Okay.
Because just because the statement was like, the Tsukiyomi can affect all the Earth, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the same as our Earth, and that's what they were needed to prove. But yeah, I still think it should be a disqualification in terms of debating, because the reason why is, it's not fair that you've got, like, a whole team of people giving you scans, because what you can do is you can be talking and you can be debating, and the judges will be assessing you based on your rhetoric as well as your argument. So if you stump them for 3 minutes, but that stumping, like, waiting period for them to try think and find scans is severely decreased because people were helping, that would make them get extra points.
Yeah, that's
because they were able to respond
for
quicker.
sure.
So in terms of like who sounds correct because they know what they're talking about, they're actually prepared, they're using their own scans and evidence.
Yeah.
They're not getting any outside help. You know that they know, like they have the correct narrative. And if they're having to get outside help to prove their point, as opposed to having this like already established narrative, then it definitely becomes like, well, it's not. It goes from these people debating these people to all these people debating these people. So that's not fair.
Yeah.
Like if I agreed to 100 against 2, then I would have said that's fair.
And it turns into a war of attrition because you're only two people. You're only two men, women, doesn't matter. It's just like you have this time to gather these scans. So when you have these other people that are not agreed to be in the debate, you're going to run out of information before they do, especially if it's a close debate. So if you guys thought about doing this like in a behind closed doors Discord, somehow monitoring Ambu and their Discord, that way you shouldn't be able to have contact with anybody if it's a debate format with points.
That's true. Yeah, we've thought about that, but generally speaking, even if people were to help them, it shouldn't really help their argument that much anyways. So it doesn't matter too much, I think, but
I think that's confidence in your side of the debate. I do think it's wrong. If it's a debate format with points, I think you're just confident in your point, which is great. I think you're confident, like, no matter what they throw at me, I'm going to be able to prove to Naruto's moon level. I just think objectively, you should not have that be allowed in debates, period.
The helping?
Yeah, the helping.
Like,
the helping.
Yeah, so that's always sort of been a rule though. Like you can't help people like if somebody starts talking or cuts in a debate, they usually get banned.
Okay.
Like if you're just observing or spectating, they're not supposed to do that. You'll get banned from the server, yeah. Because it's considered, outside help. They're arguing for you. They're helping you. It's supposed to be a debate between you two. So that way, you create the narrative that would best explain the power levels and speed and whatever debate is of those certain characters.
Well, yeah, I'm. Whenever you set this up, please put me in contact with the debate judges because I would like to be in there completely muted. And I just want to stream it. I will have no third party communication. I will not say a word to any of you guys. I just want to stream the content. If they allow that, of course. And then let's get into the actual like debunk that you made. Like who were you most combative with? Like what were their debunks to your debunk? What was your main debunk and your scans for it, etc. Just start shooting.
Ooh, there's a lot of scans. So perfect. 90% of the reason why the problem with TikTok, right? You've only got 60 seconds.
For sure. So yes.
I literally had to make like 20 videos, and that, in all honesty, that doesn't really scratch the surface of the amount of content, the amount of panels, stuff that I have to debunk both of these characters. Because in a debate, one of the big rules that Water the official kind of explained to me was that you never want to give arguments or panels or evidence that you don't need to do, like to share, because that's just helping the other people that you're debating.
For sure.
So in debates, even I have not even used all my arguments to debunk Kaguya. So this is another problem, is that on TikTok, a lot of people have been saying things like, "Oh, Hapi debunked it to moon level," but they themselves don't know how to debunk it, so they can't provide evidence to support their claims.
And then they lose the debate, and then
they lose debates, and they get into debates thinking that they can debunk it using the stuff that I've posted on TikTok.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is that there's not a lot that I can fit in there, as well as all the scans that I have. Like I have like a lot. So basically the way it works is the two characters that kind of everyone in Naruto scales off is Momoshiki and Kaguya. So if you were to establish whatever their AP is, then all the Naruto characters would scale off them.
Yeah.
Even Ishiki, like anyone. So uh, the the main point I would say would be that Kaguya's best feat was fighting Hagoromo and Hamura.
Mhm.
So Hagoromo created the moon, and he did that with the help of Hamura. So if Kaguya was relative because they were able to fight each other, then they would all be moon level. And so if when Kaguya came back later to fight Naruto and Sasuke, they would be relative to her because they were able to fight back and forth. Um, so other than that, there isn't really a higher feat past moon level that we see in all of Naruto.
Okay.
So that's why it's possible to state that, yeah. But then the complications arise with Kaguya had an orb that was supposedly going to expand, and people like to exaggerate that and say that it would expand to as great as destroying the whole solar system or universe, or
The
it's
universe
infinitely
that they made.
expanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, and so that's where a lot of
Thank you for the
debates
sub,
come into
TRG.
it. So do you want me to send some panels that I shared from to prove what I said
Yeah,
before?
by all means, I just want what you feel is your strongest argument, my man. Not even. I just want your points.
Okay, so going back to the Hagoromo point, let's establish that he's only moon level, and then he created the moon first. So characters Hagoromo. This panel pretty much has everything about Hagoromo and what he's done, and yeah. So it states in the bottom right corner of the panel that he used the chakraless corpse of the Ten Tails to make the moon.
Okay.
So that's a moon level feat creation. He created the moon. And yeah, that pretty much puts him there. And then if Naruto and Sasuke are relative to Kaguya, who Kaguya is relative to Hagoromo and Hamura, then they would all be around moon level. So then usually people, like I was stating before, to try counter this, would talk about the orb and that universal thing. So there's several important elements as to why that orb isn't solar system, planetary, or any of those kind of things. The first point would be that we don't actually know what the size of a world is in Naruto. So even if the orb was to destroy a world, we don't know how
big the orb
is.
had to become, even in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one point, that even if it did destroy the world, and even if it was Kaguya's creation, that orb, or her ability, like destructive ability, it's still not going to be more than moon level, because we don't know the exact size of the moon. And so if you don't know the size of, or the capacity that that ability has to destroy, it scales back to their best feats. And
100%.
so we know that Kaguya's best feat.
Well, you meant to say there was her universe,
who,
right? Because you said her destruction of the moon was like what you were talking about. I think you meant her universe, because you were talking about the truth-seeking orb destroying the universe, right? Is that what you meant?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you said the moon there on accident.
No, what I meant by moon is that if, like, like moon level sized,
Yeah.
like, for example, if the ninja world is only moon level sized, or if it's the size of our Earth, or if it's bigger than that, we don't know that the exact size. That would, in scaling, we have to show how much that they can destroy in order to be considered that size. So if it's like, if the ninja world was smaller, then even if they did destroy the ninja world, it wouldn't be a planetary feat if it was smaller than a planet.
Oh, okay. I see where you went with it now.
So that's why when you have unspecified dimensions of size of different things, then you can't really like quantify exactly what their destruction capacity is, and their attack potency. So it scales back to their best feat. So one argument that you can argue is this unknown size thing. And if you are able to establish that it's quite vague, and that you don't really, because you have to base it off an assumption. Like, we're assuming that the ninja world is Earth, and it's equivalent to our Earth in size.
Which you can't do in a debate.
No, you can't. So you have to have some sort of conclusive panel to prove that it says the ninja world is the same as Earth in size, or like, I don't know, something along those lines, to prove that that character can destroy something of that size. Because like in like Dragon Ball, it stated like the sizes of the planets in Dragon Ball, and so that's how we know that Frieza had large star level AP, because it was stated the size of the planet Namek. Whereas we don't have statements of the ninja world. It's very blank in terms of that. So yeah, even if you were to establish that the ninja world is possibly Earth, it doesn't matter, because you don't know the size. Because in order to be moon level, you have to prove that you can destroy a moon level size thing, and using the tiering system's measurement of what the size of a moon is, and the same as a planet or star or universe and so forth, whatever. So yeah, the other thing is that people. So I think this panel actually kind of sums up everything I'm saying.
Alrighty.
Easier. This panel that I'm sharing now, it puts everything together. So Kaguya can't actually use the orb, the expansive truth-seeking orb, without Shinobi chakra. So she has to have sacrifices, as well as the chakra from Shinobi that she absorbs. So this means that it's actually not her power.
Okay.
So without using other people's power, she can't create this ball. And we know that this is true, that she with her own chakra pools or her own reserves can't use this orb, because when she first arrived to the ninja world in episode 460, she was powerless.
Okay.
And people argue that this is filler, but it's actually mixed canon, so that's also debatable. But that episode 460, it shows us that she was scared of bows and arrows. So if you're supposed to be this universal destruction capability type person, you shouldn't be scared of bows and arrows.
For sure.
But it's because she got a chakra fruit
that was from the world tree with all the shinobi's chakra that inhibited her to do that.
So that's another story as well, actually. But I'll just show you some of the pictures first of her being scared of bows and arrows.
Okay.
Just so you know that I'm not lying about that. But yeah, here's some of the scans. So she was scared. So she had one ability, so she could blow wind, and that's what the first one is. She's like blowing wind towards the arrows to block them.
Yeah.
But then she panics and she's like, my strength, it's like gone. Like she doesn't have anything left. And then you can see some of the arrows flying past. So she was genuinely afraid. And so she's running with her friend or whatever, servant thing, to the divine tree. Now, the divine tree, that's a whole different explanation. There's a lot of misunderstandings there. There's two kinds of let's say there's two kinds of trees. There's the main tree that created the entire universe, and then there's splinters of the divine tree, which is that big one. So this is a splinter, and the seeds that come from the big tree are the 10 tails. And it's also the tree. Like the tree is the 10 tails. When somebody eats a fruit from the tree, it turns into a 10 tails. Because the 10 tails are trying to get like revenge and stuff. So it's kind of like Tafiti from Moana when they took the life stone.
The stone out.
Yeah, it's sort of like that. But anyways, so she was trying to rush to that tree to get power because she didn't have any at that time. But we also know in the story prior to this, she one-shotted Ishiki because he was caught off guard. And she couldn't have done that unless if she had power prior, meaning that her power is not permanent. Like it does fluctuate. Sometimes she has power, sometimes she does not.
Yeah.
So this goes back to proving the point of the orb. She needed to use the infinite Tsukuyomi to control people so that she could absorb their chakra and gain their power. And anyone that is a universal being shouldn't need to gain other people's power in order to then perform a universal feat or something like that.
They should just have it inherently.
Because creation and destruction is supposed to be from your own internal energy.
Yeah.
In the tiering system. So going to let's go into explanations about the Osutsuki. They're a family of alien parasites. So their one goal, as stated in the manga, is to devour planets. And they do that by either planting the seeds themselves or using the seeds to create these trees. And the trees absorb the life energy of the entire planet, including the animals, people, everything. And based on what they absorb, they turn into a fruit.
Yeah.
And those fruit is what the Osutsuki eat. So there's a lot of panels for that one. So I just quickly grab those. Chakra fruit. Sorry.
You're fine. You're fine. Someone said Seth agrees she's solar system and planetary, like solar system to planetary range.
He said solar system, and then he kind of backtracked and went back to planetary, from what I understand.
Okay. I haven't really watched any of Seth the Programmer, so.
A good person to talk to would be Aeroflame. Aeroflame debated him many times.
Okay.
He's a person that's really well known in the debating community, and he thinks that Naruto characters are solar system.
So could you read out the key points of this panel? Because I feel like not a lot of people can see them. Just because it's like very small text-wise.
Sorry. So, okay, so the forbidden fruit. Actually, that's not. I don't need that one. Hang on.
There they go. I haven't heard of Arrow, but I will definitely talk to him about this for sure.
Okay.
Connery said, "I'm going to destroy the world."
I didn't want to send. This is for a different point, but sorry. These are the ones I wanted to send. My bad.
All right, perfect.
All right, here we go. So, in the top panel, it says, "They are alien parasites. They have but one goal: to devour the life of a planet." And so that's what the Osutsukis do. They go around devouring planets, using the trees. And it says here that they plant a divine tree in the ground, an enormously large tree, and it sucks the chakra from all life living on the planet. Kind of like a mosquito. And then the next thing it establishes in the last panel is once the divine tree is finished absorbing everything, it will bear a large fruit. And the chakra fruit are lumps of tremendous energy and genetic information. The Osutsuki continuously update themselves by eating them. So that's why you see varying sizes and forms, and I guess you could say they have different types of DNA in each of the Osutsuki.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it depends on the planets they devour, they gain the qualities of those planets. So that's why they all have different abilities, looks, and yeah. So what this is establishing is that their power doesn't come from themselves. They actually come from chakra fruit as well.
Okay.
So not only do they need like thousands of years of prep time to make one of these fruits, then to gain power, but they also need an infinite Tsukuyomi, shinobi sacrifices, or just some sort of life to sacrifice to gain enough chakra to use the orb. So these are all things that just, like, the chances of you being able to use this ability on your own, it kind of diminishes that by using these points.
Yeah, it's
Because
very null.
It's very, like, to argue that their base, like, everyday normal casual attacks would scale to the orb, which is like a potentially solar system destroying thing, if you were to argue that it is that much. Her average attacks aren't going to be this powerful. Neither could she do so with her normal chakra pulls that she has. She has to absorb all this energy, and even it's also arguable that you could she has to do it consistently.
So it's like it's a one-off, like Goku and Z using a spirit bomb.
Spirit bomb, yep. The spirit bomb does not scale
Yeah.
because without the external help, they can't use it.
Yeah, so
they
useless.
Don't scale from that.
Okay.
Yeah. And another argument that's pretty good against the whole scaling from the orb thing is that if it really was going to expand to a universal in size and destroy everything, then Naruto wouldn't scale. And the reason he wouldn't scale is because he'd be dead.
True.
Like, if the whole universe was wiped out,
he wouldn't be able to survive.
Naruto, Sasuke, all of them wouldn't scale.
Yeah.
So everybody would be stuck back at moon level again. So it doesn't matter which way you look at it. You can't scale from those two reasons.
Can't put him past moon level
from the orb. So, and then there's one final thing that people always bring up, is that in this in the panel with the green highlights, I don't know if you can see that still. It says it's the start of a new time space at the bottom left.
Yep, I'm there.
But people always argue that the start of a new time space is the start of a new space-time. But you'd have to prove through some different type of, like, physics or, like, relativity or Hausdorff dimensions or whatever it is you want to try prove, that this orb was going to create a new space-time, not time-space. And if you were to destroy the start of a new space-time, people will argue that this is a universal feat because you're destroying a 4-dimensional space, or a 4-dimensional construct, because this orb is supposedly, not only does it destroy, but then it turns whatever it's destroying into one of Kaguya's dimensions.
Yeah, whatever she wants to make at the time.
Yeah, and so people will say that Kaguya can create her dimensions up to universe in size. But we've never seen any proof of that she's been able to create more than a planet. Like in anywhere. We haven't actually seen any feat of her creating anything. So we don't actually know to what extent her dimensions reach. It's never stated the size of her dimensions. So even if she was to create a dimension, it doesn't necessarily mean it's universal in size. You still have to prove that it's universal size dimension to claim that she's a universal being. Or has universal AP based off the fact that she can create a universe-sized dimension. So that's another debunk. So, like, yeah, this.
And then she get bounced back to moon level. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. That seems very, very strong. Like, what were some debunks that they tried to throw at you for that? Was it just like what you were saying, like with the whole, like they try to bring up the True Seeker Orb and stuff like that?
So one of the most common ones, I think, was that people found a kanji called sekai, and it one of the multiple readings of sekai is universe, and it's in the green highlight panel. You probably can't see it actually. I haven't highlighted on this particular panel, but
If you
anyways,
can tell me where it's at, I can find it.
um, hmm.
Oh, if it's in kanji, no, I cannot find it.
It's in
Okay,
kanji. Like
yeah.
I have another panel that I think I highlighted the specific kanji to help people spot it. I'll just quickly look at that. One sec.
And so is Momoshiki is stronger, correct? I mean,
That's debatable. Okay, so if I were to quickly go over Momoshiki, Momoshiki was defeated by a Boruto who, with the help of Naruto's Rasengan, or the chakra, in other words, they made that vanishing Rasengan and they defeated Momoshiki.
yeah.
But the thing is, Momoshiki stated that Naruto only had 50% of his chakra because Momoshiki had drained it.
Yeah.
So 50% Naruto was able to destroy Momoshiki, whereas 100% Naruto had a very hard time and should have died against Kaguya many times. A really good example of when he should have died is when Obito died trying to block the pole thing.
Yeah.
That Kaguya shot a pole, and
Then he like faded away.
Kakashi and Obito are like running to save Sasuke and Naruto, but yeah, they should have died there.
Okay.
Whereas Momoshiki, on the other hand, even the Kages were able to kind of roll him. And it wouldn't make sense that if he's stronger than Kaguya, that the Kages with no buffs, they didn't get Hagoromo's chakra. So Hagoromo's chakra that he gave like 50% to both Naruto and Sasuke, that would have boosted them a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they went from like continental something to roughly around Kaguya's level, like moon level.
Okay.
So, but Sakura didn't get that buff, and neither did the Kages. So for them to be able to keep up with these characters, they can't be higher than like if Kaguya and Momoshiki were like planetary or star or solar system, from them to jump from like continental all the way up there, such as the Kages and Sakura, without any buffs, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it would be such a gap in power that like has just literally zero explanation. Okay.
And it's extremely head canon for if Kaguya was solar system, she would have one-shotted Naruto and Sasuke easily.
Wait, one second. Let me just say something to chat real quick. He said, Jacob, to exert that much force, you need to be able to take it. That is completely incorrect. Take a look at Psyche K. The man can destroy a universe by thinking about it, but he's a complete human when he doesn't have access to his psychic power. So somebody that can move faster than the speed of thought would absolutely obliterate Psyche K. Somebody who can collapse a multiverse by thinking. That I just want to get that out of the way. Now you can continue. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was like, how is Psyche K related to this?
I was just giving an example.
That's cool. What were we talking about? Yeah, so Momoshiki was defeated by a 50% Naruto, technically.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean he's stronger. If anything, that would mean he's much weaker. Momoshiki. And another thing that would point to that is that he had to eat Kinshiki in order to keep up with Naruto and Sasuke. And we also know that Naruto was kind of nerfed because he doesn't have you don't really see him fly, and you don't really see him with the orbs either.
He doesn't have the orbs anymore. Somebody had a really good explanation of what happened to those orbs, but I can't remember what it was. But he just doesn't have them anymore. No, they're only one-time use.
Destroyed when he was fighting with Sasuke.
Yeah, they're only one-time use. Yeah.
And if they get destroyed, they get destroyed.
Yep.
Yeah. So he lost them all when they fought Sasuke and Naruto, and so like back with Kaguya, he had all those things, but was not even able to keep up with Kaguya. And when he fought against Momoshiki, he still managed to win with 50%. It doesn't make sense that Momoshiki is stronger than Kaguya then.
Yeah, okay. For sure.
Yeah, but there was something about the so with the orb and then time spaces, and then what else do they argue with the orb? Then they sometimes argue about that it should scale because Um. Oh yeah, because if you create a dimension, creating a dimension, a lot of people argue that parallel dimension, because it's stated multiple times in Naruto that a parallel dimension equals universe.
Yeah.
But in fiction, we know that parallel dimension doesn't always equal universe. Like isekai literally means like parallel world.
Mhm.
But and it's going back to that kanji sekai. People say sekai means universe because of the potential reading
Mirroring of
of
it.
that kanji. Yeah, but um, if you look at different like Japanese grammar books, basically the way that you can tell which reading to choose from when reading a kanji is dependent on the connecting kanjis right next to that specific kanji, because some kanjis have 50 meanings.
Yeah.
And there's no way that you can interpret the difference. It's context, like based on the
Context clues.
exact sentence, like the direct sentence. We're not talking about like the paragraph or the backstory. We're talking about the actual characters connected to that character affect the meaning. So, um, in that context, it's talking about world every time, and world meaning Kaguya's worlds are, they're not universal. And I don't know if you can see this video, but he, who is it? Kinshiki says Kaguya no Sekai, but then in the English translation, like the writing,
Yeah.
it says Kaguya's world.
Okay. And was
I don't know
that
if
was
you
the
can see
non-fan
that.
translated one?
This is from the
Oh, straight up from the.
Boruto episode 15. And if you push play on the video, it says he literally says Kaguya no Sekai.
Okay, I'm just gonna
But
play the audio. Give me 1 second here. All right,
Okay.
boys, listen up. And it says, "I found tears in Kaguya's world."
Tears. Like I think they meant
Oh,
like
tears. Oh wait,
I
actually, you
think
guys
they
can
meant
see
tears.
it. I'm stupid. They can see it. I just had to unfull screen. There you go.
Oh,
All right,
so
there we go.
so that's proof that it's not a universe. Her
Yeah.
her dimensions are not universal in size.
Okay.
And this is also backed up by Kakashi. When the orb was expanding, he said, in Japanese, he said, "We're going to save the world," and it was translated by Viz, the panel, Sekai to mean world. They use that kanji Sekai again. So I usually establish that Kaguya's, what's it called, dimensions are not universal, using this particular argument. So here are the panels for Kakashi. This is from the manga, so this is another piece of evidence that I think that's a bit small, isn't it?
I have it pulled up.
No. So it's just the top right one where it says we're going to save the world, and then the kanji in the very middle of the three sentences is Sekai.
Sekai. All right. Oh, the from the bottom panel, right?
So in the top right, where it says, yeah, in the bottom panel, sorry, yeah, there's three rows.
Okay.
In the middle row, the first two characters is Sekai.
So right here. Okay, I gotcha.
I didn't send you. I think I usually send a dictionary definition, so that helps people see the kanji. Yeah, I'll just quickly do that. I'll just pop up my dictionary and then send it in. Sekai. I'll chuck it in my Discord from my phone.
So because dude, every time I see your videos, it's like 123 likes, 139 comments. And I'm like, dude.
No, it's actually gotten worse now. But
has it gotten worse?
As in like 3,000 comment or like, so I don't know, just like ridiculous amount of comments and then small amount of likes.
Dude, I
It's
mean,
kind of funny.
no publicity is bad publicity, honestly, and the internet forgets. So you just keep making, because that's one thing that I said when I initially talked to you and I initially looked into the drama that you were stirring up. Not even intentionally, just the drama that started because of your video. I was like, dude, you are phenomenal at articulating yourself and saying how you feel, even if you were wrong about this, which I'm not saying that you are. I'm not incentive I'm not trying to allude to that at all. You're just phenomenal at talking, and you should keep
Thanks.
doing it because you will build an audience from that purely. But okay, I have this pulled up now here.
Okay, but yeah, that's the kanji. The two characters, Sekai,
Okay.
and so that's the one where we were trying to identify when they officially translated Sekai to mean world. So it does not mean universe. I don't know how many times I've told people, and it really frustrates me. I think I get about like 300 messages a day. Sekai means like universe. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Can you show me in the manga where they translated it to mean universe once? And they can never answer that question.
Yeah.
They usually one sentence them in a debate. And I was like, here's an example of where they translated to mean world. Here's another example of where they translated to mean world. What? There's a pattern here. Clearly it means in Naruto world. Okay?
Okay.
We've established this. We can move on from this point. Because it's super frustrating. I still get messages saying, Sekai means universe. But anyways, yeah, I wanted to repeat that because that's really annoying. But anyways, so we know that Kaguya does not have the ability to make universes. That's what this is proving. And the same goes for Momoshiki. Because one, we've never seen any feats of them do that. And two, we know that they've created dimensions, but we don't know the size of the dimensions. Because if they were actually universal in size, then yeah, Kaguya would be universal. But there's no statement of that the parallel dimension or dimension is meant to be universal in size. If anything, they said Kaguya's world. So that would like be possibly planetary, but we don't know the size of her worlds either. So
Okay.
that's why we go back to her best feats, which is fighting against Hagoromo, and we know for a fact that they created a moon. But we haven't actually seen her create one of these worlds.
Yeah, one of these
She was
planets.
unsuccessful in using that orb.
She
And
claimed
also,
it.
back when we were talking about, did she actually create the orb using her own power? We don't know that either.
So it's those 2 points,
Because
yeah.
those 2 points together suggest that one, she can't do it alone, and two, it's not a universe that she's creating. She's creating, if anything, a world. So this is all pointing towards the fact that she's only got like moon level power on her own, but then with the additional help, then she could scale higher to like star level or something at most, because we know that she can create a world at most, nothing more than that. But yeah, so that kind of debunks any of the solar system arguments and galaxies. And then people say, oh well, I saw from a panel, you can see the sun in the background in one of her dimensions. Therefore, she has a solar system, and she created a solar system. But the kind of the counter argument to that is there's lots of different things, but one, it's never stated that she created all those stars and moons in the sky. A lot of those were pre-existing.
Yeah. Did Obito create his Kamui dimension?
So those, see, the thing with the dimensions is that they don't create dimensions with Kamui. Actually, let's get into that. Let's go with that topic.
Because I feel like that stuff was just there, and like it was just an inherited ability that lets him travel there.
It's not. I think it's a bit of like one of those things that was really difficult to translate, and they struggled with it, so they ran with that wording. But this when I show this panel, it'll probably make more sense, I think. So I'm just gonna quickly pull up Kaguya's. Kaguya has a similar ability called the Ame no Minaka.
Okay.
Which is she, in English. This is how it was translated by a fan. So this is where a lot of people get confused on. Is this particular panel right here? It says in the title, creating dimensions as she pleases, the divine power of the founder that awakened her eye. But then when you actually go read the full panel, it has nothing to do with creating dimensions. And if you look at the picture, it's only talking about like it's showing that time where she teleported people from one place to another. So when you read this panel, it says it's a technique that Kaguya, who owns the Rin Sharingan, uses in an instant. She can move the world she's in together with other people to a different dimension. So that's got nothing to do with creation. It's just talking about like teleportation. And the places she can move to are the dimensions of lava, ice, supergravity, sand, and acid. And these 5 dimensions are directly connected. So the point is that this specific ability, as stated in the panel, it's a technique that Kaguya, who owns the Rin Sharingan, uses in an instant, she can move the world.
Okay.
And actually, when I went to check the title to see if it was about creation, I found that the kanjis didn't add up. Like they don't actually mean that.
One thing that I've noticed is a lot of these arguments and debunks surround by the fact that not only are the titles that are being used to put Naruto at Universal are a name fallacy, they're also mistranslations.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yep. So the 2 main characters on the right here is Kukan or Sumugu. So Sumugu is known as this character in the dictionary that I just shared.
Yep.
Is spin or assemble. So it's kind of like you're taking something and like material and assembling it from things that are already existing. So that automatically kind of cancels out that it's creation. You're just taking things from one place and assembling it in another place. That sounds like teleportation to me. It doesn't sound like creation.
Mm-hmm.
And Kukan is space.
Space. Okay.
So I'll just chuck this up so you know that I'm not lying. But yeah, here's the dictionary for Kukan. It says space, room, or airspace. So they translated it to create dimension, right? But it's actually assemble space, which makes more sense because it's it literally stated in the panel, it's a technique that instantly moves people or the world that she's in together with other people to a different space or dimension. So it's just a teleportation technique. It's got nothing to do with creation. So using Kamui, using Amino Minaka has nothing to do with creating dimensions. They're talking about like taking
parts and assembling,
like kind of like reassembling somewhere else.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I mean,
it was a difficult translation, and I can see why fans messed that up.
For sure, I can see why because what you said about how like some kanji can have 50 different meanings just depending on what other words it's by, like with context clues. 100% I can see how that'd be botched, especially somebody where it's their second language. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and so when I read it like that, using the dictionary to like as a double source, like it's not like my own interpretation. Because if you look at the kanji in the dictionary, there's no mention of creation at all. And the same with the other one. It doesn't say dimension. The word for dimension is actually jigen, but they used kukan. So yeah, there's a lot of that would also support the thing, because a lot of people say that because when you Google parallel dimension, it comes up with parallel universe, and they're the same. They're interchangeable. But if you point out this point that it doesn't actually use the word dimension, and you ask somebody, prove to me in the manga where they use the word dimension, and they translated it from Kukan, and many times they can never find it. It's usually this
just doesn't exist.
And it goes back to space again.
Yep. Okay.
But yeah, so the point is that using like Obito's eye, he does not create things, and it's the same as the Ame no Minaka panel, this Kaguya's eye that she has up here does not create things. So that only leads to one thing, which was back at the orb panel, which stated that it's the start of a new time space. The orb is the only ability that's ever been hinted to create things within the manga and the data books. So it's supported by like everything. Every source states that's the method they use to create dimensions or worlds, as we established just before. So yeah, but because we don't know the size of the dimensions, we don't know the size of the worlds, it scales back to our best feats.
I like that. I feel like that is a very sound argument. And just so you're aware, I'm going to have somebody on the opposition on
That's
next.
fine.
And if you just because like I said, I hope that I haven't sound combative today at all. I genuinely I just enjoy hearing both sides. I want to hear every single point that each person has. Do you have anything else that you do want to touch on? Maybe more points, whatever it may be.
There's actually like a lot, but I feel like it's pretty long, so maybe another time. But like,
I mean, it's up to you, man. It's up to you.
Okay, I don't know how much time do we have. Like, that's the other question.
I have nothing but time.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, in that case, because there's a lot of other panels that I haven't addressed regarding Momoshiki.
Yeah, for sure.
I haven't even gotten to debunking Momoshiki yet because people keep trying to counter debunk my points on Kaguya first. And so when I was making videos, I was pretty much responding with similar or same arguments about Kaguya. But
well, let's move on to Momoshiki, because I feel like we have Kaguya pretty concrete at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of points in there. I think the opposition can deal with just that for now.
Yeah.
But there's also Momoshiki. So there's some feats that people don't really bring up. I don't think they know about them. Mm-hmm. But they're from the novels, and right now, there are some people that have been asking about them, and they've been asking me to debunk them. They are quite long in reading, so I'll just sum it up and share the scan. So, simply put, in Boruto Novel 3, because there's 5 Boruto novels, mm-hmm. and there's also 1 Boruto movie novel, and then there's the last movie novel.
There's so much Naruto content just for the Momoshiki.
There's quite a lot of out of the actual manga and anime plots going. So, regarding Momoshiki, why this is important, people have been bringing up this calc that Momoshiki, there's a dying star, and the only cause for that dying star has to be Momoshiki. Yeah. Meaning Momoshiki was going to create a supernova, and if Momoshiki could do that, that would destroy the solar system, potentially, making him solar system. However, some of the counter arguments to that is that a supernova doesn't necessarily, a dying star does not necessarily mean it's going to make a supernova, and the burden of proof would be on the other person to prove that it would eventually become a supernova. The second thing about that is that Momoshiki was on a planet near that star, but there was people living on there, and that's in this part of the panels. But if the star was dying, there shouldn't be anyone living there, and so there's like, that's that unidentified world where you do actually see this, where Momoshiki and Kinshiki are sitting on that planet. That was back in the little clip.
Oh yeah, with the
yep, that planet. That's what this particular text is talking about.
Okay.
And everything's dead. Everything's drained because Momoshiki used those trees to drain all the life, and then he ate the fruit. And you see him sitting there eating the fruit, and he's talking to Kinshiki.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's a common argument that would come up. Like, you've seen Momoshiki was said to be absorbing stars or creating a supernova. So the supernova one yeah, is simply put, the counter to that was that a dying star does not necessarily equate to a supernova, and the fact that people were like living next to this dying star on the unidentified world that Momoshiki is sitting on, disproves that supernova thing is going to happen as well, and that Momoshiki was the cause of that. The other thing about draining stars, is that the statement. So maybe I'll bring that out. It was stated that where is it? I think it's this one.
So do you have like a ballpark of how long it took you to make this debunk or gather the information for this debunk?
About a week. About 2 weeks.
That is
wild. It didn't take too long. It's just a little bit of reading. But what's it called? Oh man, I lost it. I was looking for.
If you can't find it at this point, you can summarize it. Okay.
I found it.
I was about to say, because you've had proof for every single one of the things that you've sent, so I'll take your word on this one.
I don't like not proving anything I say.
You don't want any holes in the argument, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. I just want to establish things and then move on. So in this panel, in whereabouts is it? I know it's somewhere in the endish. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong one. This one was talking about Momoshiki had made a parallel dimension, but we already discussed like dimension equals world, so forth. So, and we don't know the size of the dimension, but people will bring this up sometimes, and they say that so based off this picture here, you can see the red stuff in the background. That's a redshift nebula, apparently.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to explain an infinitely expanding universe.
Okay.
So if Momoshiki had a redshift nebula in the background of his dimension or his world, then that would make his parallel dimension universal in size. That's a really popular argument you hear a lot, but the thing is that it's never stated.
Yeah.
And it's just an assumption based on looking in the stars from the dimension. But if we've already established that his dimension is only limited to that world, then anything beyond it is not part of his dimension. Because people will be like, but you can see stars in the background. That's part of his dimension. It's like, but when Kaguya arrived to the ninja world, was there stars already there? And then
true, yeah, like, it's just where they went.
It's when she started that orb, it was only going to affect the ninja world.
Mm-hmm.
But there's already stars and suns in the solar system, so it doesn't mean that she made them.
Okay.
That's just an assumption, and we actually do have panels that support that that big tree was the one that created the entire universe.
Mm-hmm.
I might quickly check that out. Kaguya, 10 Tails. Where's the tree one? World of the Living.
I don't think he's saying that's opinion based. I don't think what Happy said was opinion based. I think what it is that Happy is basically saying we neither know that that is a redshift, nor we also don't know if it's not a redshift. Therefore, you can't assume either, so it's kind of an irrelevant point.
Yeah, so this panel, oh, that's a horrible one actually. Why'd I use that one? I think this one establishes it's more clear. The 10 Tails is a splinter from the God Tree that gave birth to the universe. So we know that the God Tree was the one that actually created the universe. So it can't be Kaguya or Momoshiki.
Yeah.
They simply, as we've discussed earlier, they take a world and they make it their own dimension.
Yeah.
And that's it. But we don't know the size of the worlds. and we don't know the size of the ninja world. We don't know the size of a lot of things. So, yeah, it's as simple as that. It doesn't go beyond. It doesn't reach beyond their world.
Okay.
Is their creation feats. Going back to Momoshiki, there was a star draining feat. I have lost the panel right now, but actually no, I do remember where it is now. Sorry, I have many folders, and I tend to lose things when I change things for my debate.
You're fine. You're fine. I've seen some crazy scales before, but like just gathering this information to me is just so like it'd be so mind numbing because I would just forget. I'd be like, what manga chapter is this in? Oh, like it has to be like 42 to like 49, and I'd have to read all of those just for one like sentence. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And they usually take that time to like build an argument while you're trying to read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes quite annoying. Began to suck in chakra from his surroundings. I don't actually have that scan of where he absorbed a star, but the point is that usually when I see that scan that people bring that show that he absorbed a star, the only method that we've seen of absorbing anything is using the trees.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only method that the Asutsuki used to absorb anything. And I don't think it was star. I think the word that they used in Japanese was actually, it could be interchangeable with planet. And it would make more sense that if he was absorbing things, that he'd be using the one method that he's been using on every other planet, which is using the trees to absorb all life to make a fruit, and then eat those to gain the DNA or the power that they want to get from devouring planets. So yeah, pretty much in short, he can't absorb like stars and so forth without those trees. So it's not him that does the absorbing, in other words, destroying planets or stars or whatever. It's the trees that do that.
Yeah, so it's sort of like the Kaguya truth-seeking orb thing. It's dependent on other factors.
But he just eats the fruit though, so that even then, like it's not a destruction feat at all for him.
Okay.
And it's the same for her. And what else did I talk about? The universe thing, him creating a parallel universe. We already established this before that it just means parallel world.
Yeah.
But we don't know the size of the worlds, so you can see that we actually have to base, to prove that it's a universe, to prove that there's a redshift nebula, to prove that he creates those universes, you have to assume
a lot of things.
20 times.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't think it's fact.
Could you reset? You cut out after
to say that
you cut out after you said you have to assume. Could you just say, like, it was only a few words, but what were you saying?
You have to assume about 20 different things
to get to that point,
that they're universal, solar system, star level even, or any level, using those destruction creation feats that I've discussed. Like, they're all assumption based. We don't know the size of the worlds. We don't know if they could use those abilities without the fruits or without sacrifices. There's so many assumptions you have to make, but we do know that there are some things that they could do without any help.
Yeah.
And that's like Kaguya was able to keep up and fight with Naruto and Sasuke without using the orb.
Mm-hmm.
And she would have killed them without the orb. So we know that based off her fight with Hagoromo and Hamura, she would be moon level, and her basic attacks, her base stats are around that level.
Okay.
But we can't conclusively state that she would scale any higher than that because it's all based on assumptions. So yeah, that's pretty much like the quick summary of most of the arguments, I think.
Okay, hey, that's fine. Quick summary is fine. We've already done over 90 minutes, man.
But it wasn't. That's not a quick summary. Yeah, sorry, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not what I mean. I'm just saying I'm glad that you are going to have it because I'm going to upload this on YouTube now. If you don't know, we just hit peak viewership like an hour ago, like the most viewership I've ever had on this channel. A lot of people are interested in hearing what you're saying, so I thought it would be a good idea to give you a platform to where you can articulate, because I know exactly what you're saying with that whole TikTok thing of like only having 60 seconds. It's annoying. So like now
It's super annoying.
Now you've had this platform of 90 minutes, so even if you want to summarize things, it's fine because I feel like you're getting so much more detail in the first place.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you want to throw in here? Because by all means you can.
I think I'm good for now because I know that I still will have to debate people in the future.
Well, yeah,
I don't want to give away everything.
You're fine. You're fine. We could do
so
part twos, part threes.
Some of my debunks for me,
For sure.
Just because I don't want to get clowned. And,
Not a problem.
Yeah, but other than that, I think with just that general information alone, people should be able to use this information to be able to debunk most of the common arguments instead of getting fodderized. In the debate. I think if you were to go over some of the scans I shared and the arguments I used and focus on the fact that a lot of it's based on assumptions, there's not conclusive evidence within the manga and the data books and any other books of these feats, that it seems super headcanon to suggest that they're universal solar system or anything like that, because based on what we've talked about today, pretty much everything that people have been arguing to prove that she's universal is an assumption. And yeah, people should be able to do that just from what we talked about, I think.
Well, perfect, man. Look, I want to thank you for finally getting this organized. I want to thank you for being an amazing guest and being respectful. I'm going to get other people on the opposition. I knew you were the sole proprietor, the ship leader of this Naruto Moon Debunk, so choosing you was easy. So I'm going to go do some research. I might get Anbu on here because I've seen a lot of Anbu in this chat, and I'm just going to try to keep no bias away from this because I like Naruto, but I don't care where Naruto's at. It doesn't matter to me. I'll go to sleep the same exact way. But is there anything you want to say before we sign off?
Pretty much just thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity to voice this, because then this will save me a lot of time from having to repeat myself.
For sure.
To like every single person, or it make like multiple debunks, because I end up repeating myself a lot, especially with TikTok, because it doesn't reach everybody with the algorithm and stuff. So yeah, this is good because then I can refer people to, I guess, your YouTube video.
Perfect.
But yeah, I'm also interested in hearing what other people think as well. So I'll probably come watch your other stream.
Sounds good. So TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, anything that you want to plug, my man, especially your TikTok. How do you spell your TikTok? Like, can you give me the full user?
I think it's happy_117.
That's what I thought it was. That's what I had typed out. Confirm it for me real quick, and then I'll spam it in the chat.
Happy_117.
All right, if you guys are not already following Happy, please go to his TikTok and follow him, where he's just going to keep making more content like this. And hopefully, what I'm excited for the most with you is when you move past the Naruto Moon content. When you're just making, because I feel like you're going to see some amazing growth, my man. I feel like it's going to be incredible. But anything else, my man? Anything else you would like to say?
I really do want to say I'm really grateful for all the love that I've been receiving, because it literally went from like one day like thousands of hate comments to maybe triple the amount in love comments, the complete opposite. For sure. And that actually, I guess you could say, restored my faith in the anime community. Because honestly, at one point it felt like everybody was against me. Yeah. As opposed I've felt that before too. Now, like, I'm starting to see a lot more positivity, a lot more kindness, a lot of people being more patient with people. Especially with me, because I tend to get frustrated at the fact that I have to keep repeating the same arguments for every single person. And so sometimes I get a little bit impatient as well. But I mean, yeah, no, like I've noticed a huge difference. Like there's like literally thousands of people of just saying kind things, being supportive, not just of me, but like people in general, I think. Um, there's only one thing that I did want to say though, is that if you can't debunk moon level yourself, don't go around saying that Naruto's been debunked to moon level, because you'll just make yourself look really silly. And especially if you don't have any evidence to support your claims. Like I hope that what you got from this with Jacob and I is, notice that I sent a panel for almost every one of my points.
Every single one of the points. Every single one of them.
Every single point. There's not many debaters that can do that.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
And the other thing is
being able to prove that.
Say you do support Hapi and you do love Hapi's content, which I do love your content, my man. Say you do. When you go to other debaters' channels and you're like, hey, Naruto got debunked to moon level, and somebody says debate me, and you brutally lose that debate, which will happen if they have scans and you don't, that makes it look bad on Hapi's side too. Not saying that Hapi is right, because once again, I'm remaining completely unbiased on this, but it's like the people that I'm choosing, I'm trying to find the most well-based people for this. I don't know if you want to call it a show, a series, or whatever it is, and I think I made a great choice with Hapi because he was able to send scans with every single thing that he said. And thank you, my man. Thank you for being an amazing first guest.
Add that in my link tree, if you go to my Discord, I might actually put some of my scans in there, so you can just grab them. Because it's getting to the point where thousands of people keep asking me for these scans that I've been sending.
Yep.
But it might be easier if I just chuck them all in there, and then you can grab them if you need them. So
I just sent his TikTok again. So yeah, go to his link tree, go follow him, go show him some love. Happy. Thank you so much for being an amazing first guest. I hope to have you back. Maybe it'll be for this moon level thing again. Maybe it'll be for something different. But
hopefully, if it's something more fun.
Hey, peace out, my man. Thank you so much, and yeah, have a great night. Have a great night, day. Where are you located again?
I am in Australia. In
Dude,
Brisbane.
you're I wish I was in Australia. I wish. All right, well, much love, my man. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Much love, man. Have a good one.
Yep. Goodbye.
See ya.
Ladies and gentlemen, what an amazing thing. You got to get Amu on here straight away. I will message him for sure. What an amazing series. What an amazing thing that we did today. I'm going to get Amu on here. It'll probably be sometime later this week. Do more of these, I will.